welcome to the episode. In this episode, we are going to talk about what to expect when building a small-scale crawler from the ground up. Custom, if you will. I'm going to talk about two forms of custom here. There's ultimate custom, which is making your own links, making your own chassis, whether that's 3D printing, milling aluminum. The options are endless that way. Obviously custom. But what I'm mostly going to be talking about is off-the-shelf custom, building thing from the ground up, not buying an RTR, but just buying, hand-picking the components you want for your build. So anyways, I've got Demigod here, which is my SCX-24 build, which was all based on this model kit, which is a 1956 Chevy Bel Air classic cruiser model kit. Little story on this: got this just over 10 years ago for a gift from my wife for either a birthday or an anniversary, and I just kind of put it on the back burner for a really long time and knew I wanted to do something with it, but I didn't know until I got into RC cars last year, and it was probably October-ish where I was like, hey, I'm gonna make that into an RC car because nobody has something like this. I wanted to be super unique. Now I've seen a few of them, which is a bummer, but none of them are mine and none of them are as cool as mine. So anyways, we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna go into 3 parts on this episode. Part 1 will consist of kind of the design and the planning process. Part 2 will talk about the assembly process, and part 3 will talk about the cost. Each one of those parts I'll talk a little bit about the components, but anyways, let's start with the body and what sparked this whole build. Obviously the body, it's going to dictate my wheelbase. So with that being said, I took this body, I set it on top of some TRX 4Ms, set it on top of some SCX 24s, and that let me know, hey, you're going to need to find a wheelbase that does this. So I'm going to go over platforms really quick and wheelbases and let you know which one I went with, which obviously is SCX 24. So platforms. There's a handful of platforms out there. So when you're thinking about this, you're in the design or the conceptual phase, be thinking about platform, and then also be thinking about how the upgrade market is for that platform. The platforms that I know of that are more popular, if you will, are the SCX 24, the TRX 4M, the CR18P, the FX 118, the FCX 24 and 18. Those are, my knowledge wise, the most popular. Now the two that have the most upgrades that I know of are the TRX 4M and the SCX 24. I think the upgrade market for those is a lot broader than anything else. So now we're gonna bring the camera in and take a closer look at this as we go into phase 2 or part 2 of this video. So part 1 was the conceptual phase where I'm fitting the body, finding the platform, finding the wheelbase, and then going with the idea. So now I actually ended up getting this car, and this kind of took my vision and then put that direction on it. So I saw the roll cage, which I'll show you when I bring it in closer, which is why I selected the chassis that I did. So for part 2 coming up, I'll talk about chassis selection, transmission selection, motor selection, axle selection, links, shocks, remote transmitter, all that good stuff. And I'm not going to make lists like I did for the platform just because there are so many options out there. So all of it is going to be dictated by whether or not you're using a body and how much money you actually want to spend on this. So anyways, I'll bring you in for this closer look on Demigod as I talk about the assembly process. So once I decided on a platform and a wheelbase, I took the body into the hobby shop to find chassis. Now I knew I wanted an aftermarket chassis because I was just going custom on it. Let's talk about the chassis, the links, the drive shaft, the suspension, the axles, the motor, the transmission. Everything you see here. Chassis is the Hardpark Dementor V2. I got that because this little car here has that roll cage in it. You can see it in there. I was like, I want that. And if you look closely, which I don't think, yeah, you can barely see the little shock absorber there that comes up. Long travel suspension, because this is a Baja truck, needs the long travel suspension. So I messed around with that, put some holes in it, and got the suspension to go there. I decided not to because it had the body sit too low and I didn't want to cut the body out so much. The motor and transmission are the Micro Komodo motor from Furatech, the DW transmission from Hardpark, which is the one before the S. I'm not sure what the differences are, but this one was available at the hobby shop at the time when I bought it, and Hardpark was out online because obviously they're killer transmissions. You can kind of see in there the open gears, which if you get dirt in those, it actually kind of sucks, but I still like the transmission. The suspension I went with was the 50mm Proline shocks. They look really good. They're pretty strong. They're great shocks, except you have to lubricate them like every 5 seconds because they don't hold oil at all, which is kind of frustrating. I'll be trying some different shocks next time, just because I want to try new stuff out. The links and the drive shaft are both stainless steel Injora. I wanted to keep the color scheme going with the black and silver, so I just found those. The links was very important to me to match the Mias links that came with the axles, which are the Mias isokinetic axles for the SCX24. I really like the worm drive gear on them. I just feel like it can produce more torque. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I really like the worm drive on it. The next thing that you have to keep in mind is you're going to need a servo. You can get servos anywhere from 15 to like 120 bucks. I really don't think you need a $120 servo, but I'm also not a avid comp driver, so maybe I'm wrong. But this Injora 11kg one is one of my favorites so far. It's never lacked to have the power. It's quick, and I think they look good. So with that, what's next? The electronics. The electronics, obviously this car does not have any. In some of my videos you can see I borrowed the Lizard Pro, the FlySky transmitter, and the remote that come with the brushless Evo Pro. They worked great, but keep in mind this, it has a tray here that you could mount some stuff on, but when I put the body on it, it kind of took away all that space, so I had to be creative with cramming all of the electronics basically in here to not make it look so stupid, but also to keep it so the body fit. Now I know the Hardpark makes axles where it has the servo and the battery here, so that'll take some of that off, but I ended up mounting my battery here, my ESC here, and my receiver here. So that's part of the assembly stuff. You are going to want to keep in mind that as you're fitting stuff together, you're more than likely going to have to be putting it together and taking it apart and adjusting it. I adjusted the upper link positions probably 6 times. I found, let me get some extra light in here, I found that with the transmission and the drive shaft and the motor, there was very, very little room in here. So I actually got a screw kit from Hardpark that didn't even work because the screws were too long. They impeded the drive shaft. So I had to get a screw kit and put the smallest screws I could on there, and you can see that they're all held on barely by nuts, so I Loctited those so they wouldn't fall off. Anyways, Assembly wise on this probably was 6 to 8 hours in putting it together, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart, adjusting the suspension, adjusting the links, trying to find the right height, putting the body on with that, doing it like I think 5 times I took this apart and put it back together. I tried to drill some holes in the top because this Dementor comes with a top, but I smashed that, broke it to bits. So that's why I have these unicorn mounts from Hard Park that hold the magnets. Anyways, that's part 2 of the assembly phase. Now we're going to go into part 3, which is dollars and kind of how to set your budget and what to expect when you're getting into that. The last thing I did forget to talk about is I did do the Proline Trepador wheels, which these tires are killer. It comes with the plastic wheels, which I do like. I think they look really good. So if you're not looking to add rotational weight, that is an amazing way to do that. I'll just say these were $26 for the set of 4, which is a really good deal for the tires and the rims. So you can just pop them on right off the bat. Now I did put some Enduro wheels on these because I wanted more weight, so I will be finding new rims that fit these tires that have weight, because those ones that I got do not fit. They are too wide and they compromise the structural integrity of the sidewall. All right, we are going to jump back into our other camera view. Anyways, price-wise on all of this stuff, I'm going to list this by memory because I've done it so many times. I know most of it. So the chassis was around $60. The axles were $108. The transmission was $50. Now I'm not getting dollar-wise. I'm kind of rounding, so give or take $5 on those. Except the axles, they were definitely $108. The links were 17. Nope, the drive shaft was $17. The links were $22. The servo was $55. $55 for the servo. What else am I missing on here? The motor was $35. The stuff I don't have, like the Lizard Pro by itself, is $85. Receiver and transmitter combos anywhere from, let's just say, $30 to $100, depending on what you want to spend. I'm in that range about now. I'll probably spend about $50 on my combo there. So just to give you an idea, batteries. Batteries, you're going to be looking at like $15 a piece for the battery, which you want to make sure you have the right lead to get from your battery to your ESC, because obviously you need power. So with what I have on it now, I do not have an ESC, I do not have a remote, I do not have a transmitter, and I do actually have batteries. Maybe I have batteries that I got for the Evo Pro that was running the same as this because I used the Evo Pro electronics. So before any of that, this was $30. The wheels were $26. I did the math before electronics, and I'm gonna actually check this in the editing. So if I'm wrong, I'll put some numbers up in the editing that will appear somewhere, who knows where, with all the dollar amounts. Before electronics, if I've done my math right, I'm at $585, and I can expect to spend another $100 to $150 on this build. So if you're thinking of doing this, expect to build or to spend on your build $500 to $1,000 on your small scale crawler. Now that's pretty insane, thinking you could go get a really nice 10 scale for $400 and put another $400 of upgrades into it. Like, that's insane to think about it that way. Or it's insane to think to get one of these for $150 and sink $700 of upgrades into it, which I don't even know if is possible. Or to get that, we'll just say it's the brushless one for $200 and sink $300 of upgrades into it. Like, it's pricey. It's a lot. Have I had fun building it? Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Will I do it again eventually? I have no plans to do it again in the near present. I am going to be working on some other projects. So anyways, thank you for your time. If this video was helpful or you had some value from it, smash that like button. And if you really like what you saw or you like me, subscribe to the channel. I hit 400 last week, which was awesome. I have been really watching those numbers because my next milestone's 500, and I'm really trying to get to that 1,000. I feel like that 1,000 is kind of when you hit that 1,000, the dam almost breaks if you do it right. So I'm going to be putting some effort into this, trying to get videos out. I do have some series coming up, which I'll breeze over real quick. I've got the build series like this, which are going to be more rare because it's going to take a while for me to design up and think up the builds and then start setting aside the money because they're a lot. I have the Adventure Time series, which is basically me going out and crawling. There's one of those out now. I will link down below. There is the review series, which I'll be doing reviews on the new stuff I buy. I've got one coming up for some wheels and a couple other things. I like doing reviews. They're fun for me to do, so I hope you guys enjoy them. I will also be doing a comp series when I can get into some comps. It's been really rough trying to get into comps with my schedule of life. Anyways, thanks again for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to catch you guys on the next one. Mount Olympus RC, later.